Hi friends, welcome back to another chart review. This is a 1-3 emotional generators chart, and the question that is posed, or the curiosity that we have been given, is this individual is curious about their relationship to routines as they find it hard to establish them, especially with a work schedule. We have our notebook here. Especially with a work schedule, right? And so right away when I saw that, I was curious about whether or not they had gate 5 defined in their chart. Now gate 5 I have defined in my chart, so I was familiar with it. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if they have that, because that really speaks to routine. That speaks to like a fixed rhythm, like routine, structure, things of that sort. Now the thing about the sacral center, like a lot of what I've gathered from it, is that it's really good at telling you about timing, whether something is right, whether this is the right time for something. I know that I have a knowing in my body where I can literally feel whether or not, even if I get an idea, I do not have my sacral defined. Even if I get an idea, I can just feel whether or not the energy is right to actually execute. And so that gives me the energy of the sacral. The sacral is really good at telling you in a moment if it's a yes or no, right? That's how I feel about it. And so when I thought about this individual and routines, right away I was just like, one, I'm curious about whether or not they see routine in a traditional sense, or have they already defined routine for themselves, right? Because this idea that a routine has to look a certain way, be a certain way, that can be an issue, right? And that can be a barrier to you finding your natural flow. And gate 5 is all about this person finding their own natural rhythm. They just have to, right? No one can give, no one outside of you, no pressure outside of you can tell you that you need routine and you need to be disciplined. Like, it has to come from the inner world. It just, if you want it to be sustainable, right? Like anything, you can do anything, but is it going to be sustainable? It's a thing. So as I looked at that, I asked them a couple of questions once I saw that they did have it defined, and I asked them, some examples of routines they started and how did it go, what have they started, how did they enter these routines, because did you enter it by following your emotional solar plex? Did you wait for clarity, or did you enter it because you got excited at the idea of it, and the idea of it is what made you want to commit to it? Because that might not be the best thing for someone with an emotional authority to do. They're gonna have to wait until that energy kind of get to a neutral to make sure they actually are excited about it, they actually want to do this, because they could just be excited for the moment, And so let's look at, let's go through this a bit further. So with that gate 5 energy active, right? And now we have these 3 channels coming from the sacral to the G center. That's the yellow center. This is going to be an individual that craves alignment, not control. That defined gate 5 here means that I would say, don't be rigid, right? With this energy, you are not here to be rigid. It means she has to find her own natural internal rhythm that thrives when she honors it, right? So she just got to find her own natural flow, literally. And it's all about her just trusting herself, her allowing her energy, right? That G center is all about direction. So this person has a consistent guidance for themselves, for what is aligned for them. And so they have, in order to be aligned with their design and their makeup, they have to honor what is their natural flow, what is their natural rhythm. So trying to impose someone else's version of discipline will feel suffocated. It's not gonna be sustainable long term. It has to be something internal for this person, whatever that means, whatever that looks like. And so let's talk a little bit about their channel from let's think about their channel from the root center 39 into this 55, coming from the 55 that's going to their emotional solar plexus. So the way that the emotional authority works is that whatever channel is defining your emotional solar plexus is going to be your wave. There could be more than one channel, but the idea that it's going to be your wave. And it's so important for individuals with an emotional authority for them to figure out what that feels like for them. So your emotional wave, I say we know because I've talked about this so much in so many videos. So many people have a defined emotional authority. I forgot what the percentage is, but it's pretty high. And so as long as you have a defined emotional authority, that's going to be your, defined emotional center, that's going to be your authority. And so we talk about it a lot around here. So your emotional wave means that there's no clarity in the moment. So she'll likely start routines based on a high of inspiration, like I was talking about earlier, or external pressure. Then it'll hit a low and she'll assume like it didn't work. But your authority is going to require you to feel if something is truly right for you. So starting a new routine from a high of maybe this will fix the situation or maybe this will work could be misaligned. So instead, I think like one of the things that can be helpful is for you to start experimenting, to know for yourself what clarity feels like in your body. That's first off. You need to figure out how do you know when you're clear about something? What does your highs feel like? What does the lows feel like, right? Also, one of the things you can do is, I'm telling everybody who has this emotional authority to look at the channel of their wave and learn more about it and see how it resonates for you, and then start just paying attention to yourself when you're making decisions, when you're just by yourself. What does your wave feel like? Because your wave does not require an external stimuli. So what does it feel like to just be in your body with that wave? Okay, now what does the wave feel like when you are posed with something to respond to, right? Because you are a generator, and so life is coming to you. You are attracting life to you. And so like, what does it feel like when you're saying yay or nay to things? So experimentation is going to be key here for just understanding what it feels like for you to be clear, and for you to see whether or not you notice when something just settles in as right, as correct for you. Not because it's trendy or because you should, but because it's deeply satisfying. Is it deeply satisfying for you, right? And that's the signature of a generator. That's how they know they're in alignment. We're going to talk about the channels for the G center and the sacral in the next part. So like, let's go over there.